propel yourself forward.
Welcome back. Today I will recap a 2023 horror thriller film named The Gates. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. At the beginning of the movie, we see a girl lying unconscious on a table, and just below her lies the dead body of a woman. The girl starts regaining consciousness and starts screaming in fear of seeing a man beside her. He asks her to relax and makes a cut on her neck, causing her blood to drip down into the corpse's mouth. He then says this is the last one, and now she can come back to him. But the police break into his house, and here we learn that his name is William Kolkat. They ask him to put the knife down, but he slits that girl's throat and then proceeds to attack the policeman. The police overpower him and start beating him badly, and William sees that his wife has not come to life. We then see William in his cell at Bishopsgate Prison chanting something, when George and Philip with a priest come to take him away for execution. While taking him away, George tells him that it is his special day and he should feel honored as he is not getting the rope, but something new. Now here we come to know that they are going to execute him by electric chair, and they are the first British facility to do so. He has been found guilty of the murders of 28 women, so he accepts his fate in the same disgusting manner he subjected his victim to theirs. They then say if he has any last words, they should hear them now. William doesn't say anything and just starts laughing, so they give the order to execute him. They say may God have mercy on his soul, to which he says God can't have his soul. After this, he is given an electric shock for a long time, and when they think that he is dead, they turn off the electricity. But they are shocked to see that he is still breathing, so he is given an electric shock once again. After this, when they think that he is dead, they argue that this attempt was hardly successful and that dropping from a rope does seem faster, but the governor says that the machine did what it was supposed to do, and that is all. We then see postmortem photographer Frederick and his niece assistant Emma, who are called to Bishopsgate Prison to take a photo of William. Now while George taking them to the morgue, he tells them that they have been chosen to test a new electric chair from America before they take it up to the road to Pentonville. They then reach the morgue, where Philip is watching over William's body. Frederick looks at William and asks them who is he, to which George tells him that he had killed nearly 28 people. Police said he was carving a girl when they caught him, and his wife's rotten corpse was laid out in the middle of it all. Frederick asks Emma to set the camera for him, and during this, she gets spooked to see him moving and looking at her. Philip asks her if she is alright, to which she says yes, but she just needs to step outside for a moment. After some time, Frederick also comes out and asks Emma if she is okay, to which she says she is, and she just needed to catch her breath. After this, they both go to the British Paranormal Society, where Frederick presents them his tool called Atomizer. Emma explains that by using cutting-edge science, they will demonstrate how their device will not only call upon the spirits from the invisible ether, but attract them to the very machine itself. Frederick says he hypothesizes that spirits are a form of energy, much like light itself, but they are confined to a very narrow wavelength. Now science shows that energy is attracted to energy, so when they pass electrical energy through this machine and temporarily store it, they create a magnetic field. And that in turn electrifies the atmosphere, thinning the veils that separate the wavelengths, thus enabling the spirits to move. In other words, this machine can bring spirits to them. Jonathan says they just saw a man with a planchette and a board with letters on it. He claims it can be used to communicate with spirits as well, and it looks a lot simpler. Frederick says that is a board game for children, but this is cutting-edge science, and this will make possible the greatest discoveries of modern science. Aberton says if he wished to communicate with a spirit, how would he do it? Frederick tells him that first of all, they use the Atomizer to electrify the atmosphere. Then they use their version of a wax cylinder recorder that can pick up very high frequencies. They ask the spirit their questions, and replies are recorded and played back almost immediately. They call it electrical voice phenomena, or EVP. Aberton asks him what led him to the theory that spirits are attracted to electricity, to which Frederick says he noticed that static electricity is documented in several investigations where there may have been a spirit present. But because he does not have any proof of this, and only then his machine also breaks down, that's why both of them do not take his machine and him seriously, and leave there saying they should do a little more testing before they call them again. This leaves Frederick very disappointed, and Emma says that they can make some changes, but Frederick says that they never get a second chance at a first impression. We then see him in a bar, where the bartender asks him what's in his bag, to which he says he is a photographer, and in the bag, there are parts for a camera that does not work. Aberton with his friend then also comes there, and Frederick comes out of the bar after seeing them. Outside, Jonathan asks him what was it he called that thing. Frederick says Atomizer, to which he suggests him to change its name if he ever gets it working. Frederick starts leaving there, but Jonathan says he is either genius who just doesn't quite realize the full potential of his idea, or he is a conman. Frederick says he and his niece are not conmen. They are scientists trying to prove the greatest truth of all, that there is a life after death. Jonathan tells him to get that thing working, get proof of it actually being useful, and come see them again, and until then, don't quit his day job. He then returns home, where we see Emma working on that machine, but he asks her to leave it alone before it burns the house down. He then says that he can no longer let her waste her life the way he has wasted his. Emma tells him that she has nearly removed all the burnt parts from the machine, but he says it's time to recite this foolish dream. Meanwhile, George comes to a prisoner and says that by this time tomorrow, he will be dead and a new chair is waiting for him. After he leaves, the prisoner starts hearing William's voice, which frightens him. Only then he sees someone there, and then he becomes completely calm as if all the fear has gone out of his heart, and then kills himself by hanging himself from the door of his cell. The next day, Emma shows Frederick a photo of William, to which he says it's just a double exposure, and asks her to print it again. But then he realizes that he scolded her unnecessarily, so he apologizes to her and says that she is just like her mother. From the moment her mother was born, they just knew there was something special about her, and the moment she was born, they saw exactly that same thing. She checks the photo again, and shows it to Frederick and says it can't be the camera as she has checked it already. Frederick checks the photo and asks her if is there anything like this on any of the other pictures. She says no, to which Frederick says this is it and asks her to pack everything they need for a field test. They are going to have an opportunity to show that they are right. He also tells her that the machine is producing more power than it can handle, and he thinks if they use bigger coils, it may help. Meanwhile, George and Philip come to get the prisoner but get shocked to see him dead there. They then go to the governor and tell him that another one is dead and that they are just offing themselves in painful ways. Philip says there is a real bad feeling about the place, like there is something else. Governor says that every man down there is sentenced to death, so less work for them and less expense for the state. He then tells them to have John contact the medical school to come and pick up the body. George says it's already rotten, to which the governor says he shall hear no more talk of the superstitious nonsense. George says Philip and him would feel a lot better if they could get Father Matthews here, just to bless the place or something. They then bring Father Matthew to the place, and as he begins to bless the place, the book flies away from his hand. He then gets pushed down and sees William's spirit there before passing out. Later, Governor asks him what is it that's down there, to which he says evil. Abberton is then called there to deal with the problem, but only then does Frederick also reach there with Emma, and the governor asks him who has called him. He says nobody, to which Governor says he is dealing with more pressing matters. However, Frederick requests him to look at the photographs, and he says these are just badly taken photographs of a dead prisoner. Frederick says at first they thought it's because of the camera, but it's something quite different, and he begged him to allow them to rephotograph the subject, and they would formally like to offer their services as paranormal investigators. Governor says they don't require their service, but Abberton says nobody leaves until he is done, and also asks them has anybody else come or gone since the disturbance started. John says they have been home to their wives and back, and apart from Father Matthew, only they have come here. He asks him where is Father Matthew, to which the governor says he is in his office, and he was attacked by something. He then takes him to Father Matthews, who tells Abberton that this was the work of one of Satan's demons, so none of their little parlor tricks will work. Abberton asks him if he has been scratched anywhere, and requests him to show him his arms so he can see if his God abandoned him and allow him to be attacked by a demonic spirit. He raises his hands, and after checking it, Abberton says he sees no signs of a demon, to which Father says go down there and he will see. They then all come to the execution chamber, and Emma leaves there telling Frederick that she needs to not be in there. He goes after her and asks her if she is alright, to which she says yes, but the air is heavy down here. Meanwhile, Abberton asks George how did William face his execution, to which he says it seemed he wanted to die. Abberton says he didn't die quickly, and how long was he kept in jail before he was executed. George says only a week, because the judge wanted to do it quickly. He then asks if was he buried on consecrated ground, to which he says usually they sell the prisoners' corpses to the medical school. However, William was a bit cooked, so they chucked him into the jail furnace. Abberton tells him to have the governor meet him outside jail 13, and while leaving, he tells Frederick that he will require his assistance. After a while, outside jail 13, Abberton tells everyone to create a circle as he requires everyone's presence to communicate. Governor says he is here to get rid of that thing and not converse with it. Abberton says spirits were once people, and he must get to know them before he can do anything else. He then asks everyone to put their hands on the table, and asks the spirit to use him as a vessel to make contact with him. He asks him to knock twice if his name is William Kolkat. Now when he doesn't get a response for a while, Abberton challenges William to reveal himself. However, the governor steps back and says this may work well for the superstitious, but not here, and then he leaves there with Philip. Frederick tells Abberton that there is another way of generating a physically receptive atmosphere. He asks him does his machine work now, to which Frederick says it will give him everything that he requires and more. Abberton asks him to set up his device in the morgue and wait for him there. Now after they all leave there, we hear 2 knocks on that table. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.